What's going on, beautiful people? Julian Kuschner coming at you with Gary Brecka, aka Superman. What's up, bro?
What's going on, dude?
See you. Wait, hold on. I gotta read his bio. Gary Brecka, CEO of Streamline Medical Group, human biologist, biohacker, blood expert, man. I'm excited to be talking to you right now. He's gonna go over his background, his company, but first and foremost, he's absolutely changed my life. I don't speak too publicly about health issues and different things. A lot of people know that I travel around the world, go to events, and I'm very busy traveling, growing a global organization, and sometimes people don't really are not too vulnerable about their health issues or concerns, and I feel like people need to hear what we're about to talk about because it's something that can help with every aspect of someone's life, from sleep, energy levels. Exactly. I know directly you changed my life. I had some stomach issues, sleeping things, energy issues, and you literally pinpointed the exact things. Like, I've talked to some doctors and stomach doctors and these doctors and doctors everywhere, and nobody really knew. They were just generally prescribing. And you actually, from my blood, you found ways to improve and fine tune, like you call it, my body. So thank you so much, first of all. And just share your past, share your company, share what you're about, man.
You know what you're talking about. A lot of times in the human body, what we think is pathology and disease is really just a lack of raw material. I always use a very simple analogy that if I asked you to make me a chocolate chip cookie, and I didn't give you chocolate chips and I didn't give you brown sugar, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just that you don't have the raw material to do what I'm asking you to do. And the human body is very much the same way, right? We're asking it to create certain emotions, to digest food, to process nutrients, to create neurotransmitters, to build muscle, to process thought and memory, and enhance cognitive function, move contents through our gut, all sorts of things, eliminate waste. But then we don't give it the raw material that it needs to do its job, right? And so that is not necessarily pathology or disease. It's just a lack of raw material. So for example, if you are clinically deficient in vitamin D3, cholecalciferol, that's the sunshine vitamin. It's the only vitamin that a human being can make. It resides inside of every cell in the human body, along with things like glutathione and NAD. And
which I'm taking right now.
Oh yeah, you're doing an NAD drip, which I'm going to explain in a second. This is liquid gold.
Guys, I was so confused when you first talked to me. I thought all this science stuff, and I failed out of science, but everything he's talking about is like spot on.
Yeah. Think about this. A human being can make one single vitamin, right? We can only make one vitamin. So how important do you think that vitamin is to human function? And I'm talking about vitamin D3. Yet 50% of the global population is clinically deficient in this vitamin. Vitamin B12, magnesium, folate. Deficiencies in these are the leading cause of anxiety and depression. Just think about this. We define depression. The definition of depression is an inadequate supply of serotonin. So you are clinically depressed if you lack the supply of serotonin. Yet when we treat depression, we never treat the supply. We never increase the supply. You know what we do? We ration it. We put you on an SSRI, a serotonin reuptake inhibitor. And what that does is it rations what little serotonin you have. Instead of going into the human body, fixing the factory in the gut that makes serotonin, returning the level of serotonin to normal, and then by definition not being depressed. So, biophysiology and biohacking can make a good person great, but it can also make an average person great. It can make someone that has depression, anxiety, anxiousness, irritability, poor sleep, can actually restore those instantly just by giving the body back the raw material that it needs.
So not everyone needs to be prescribed something from a doctor or some pill or some antidepressant thing. They just need to biohack and understand why.
Yeah, right? In most cases, like for example, 70% of my hormone therapy patients are not on hormone therapy. That 70% of the patients that qualify to be on hormones, we don't put them on hormones. We put their body on the precursor to make good hormones. So for example, if you're clinically deficient in something called DHEA, dihydroepiandrosterone. You don't have the raw material in your body to make hormones like testosterone. So you're going to be low on testosterone. Does that mean I need to go in and replace testicular function or replace your endocrine function? No. It just means I need to give the body the raw material for it to do its job.
Right.
It's such a phenomenal resource that most of the time, if we feed the body what it needs, then it will respond in a way that doesn't reflect pathology and disease. And that's also true for emotions, right? Think about ADD, ADHD, OCD, manic depression, bipolar, depression, anxiety. All of these quote unquote disorders, they have a common root, right? They're all neurotransmitters. They all are an imbalance in neurotransmitters. And neurotransmitters are made in the body. There's a factory in the body, inside the gut, that makes neurotransmitters. And yet, when it's not working, we call it pathology and disease, when all it needs is raw material. 5-methylfolate, methylated B vitamins, L-methionine, magnesium. I'm talking about amino acids and vitamins that are in everybody's bloodstream right now. And so what you're doing today is called NAD. This is arguably the millennium's greatest breakthrough in anti-aging.
Let's go. Let's go. Benjamin Button right here. Come on.
Yeah, you're gonna be crawling around this floor something at home by the end of this drill. So there's a principle about going into outer space, and NASA has been on this for a long time about the rate of human aging in space. Right, we age about 2 days for every day that we spend in space.
Wow. And
weightlessness, radiation are very, very hard on the human body. And a lot of it has to do with depleting this level of NAD. Mm-hmm. See, what's in this bag resides inside of every single cell in the human body. And NAD is what powers our mitochondria, brings oxygen into the mitochondria. And if you know what the mitochondria does, it's the little motor inside the cell that powers the cell, makes ATP, adenosine triphosphate.
Skip that chapter in science class. I skipped
Yeah,
that one.
you can skip that. You're saying
I skipped that.
Yeah.
Or I didn't come to class at all.
But this is exciting stuff, man, because just think about how important NAD must be to human function if it's, number one, not only inside of every cell in the human body, it's inside of every living cell on planet Earth, which includes any live cell. And then secondly, its level is directly related to aging. So they can take a cell out of your body from anywhere in your body, it has to be a live cell, culture it, look at its level of NAD and tell roughly how chronologically old you are.
Wow.
So the levels of NAD are directly related to aging, cellular health, cellular respiration. If you took the NAD out of a human being right now, then you would be dead in roughly 30 seconds. So by powering up NAD and powering up the mitochondria, you all of a sudden increase cellular respiration. You give the body the fuel it needs to perform its task. And it's like putting natural nitrous in the tank of a Formula One race car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So besides what we're doing today, I know, Gary, you introduced me to all the good things. You did a whole blood test, obviously with Streamline, and you try to fine tune everybody. And the brilliant thing, what he did is, we're all told, take your vitamin, take this, eat healthy, and not everything you take in is supposed to be a part of your body. Not everything you take and not everything you eat. I know certain things, you did a food sensitivity test on me, and things I thought, like grapefruit or this, I was actually sensitive to, or papaya, or different things. Scallions, right. That, or green tea.
Yeah.
I was drinking so much green tea, and I'm not supposed to drink green tea because it affects or reacts to my body different. So what he really does is find the things that react with your body bad and says, hey, these are all things that you should be taking, and we're going to put you on supplements, but it's not going to be, a million different supplements. It's not going to be some BS supplement. It's going to be exactly what you need, exactly what your body can process.
Supplementing without a rationale is just like throwing darts in the dark. Not everybody needs a multivitamin. Not everybody needs vitamins. Not everybody needs supplements. But your blood will tell a very specific story. So will your genetics. If you take a cheek swab and you look at your genetic profile, think about this for a moment. We say that so many diseases are inherited that are actually not inherited. I lectured the other day to a group of physicians, and I said, by show of hands, how many of you are treating patients for genetically inherited thyroid disease, genetically inherited high cholesterol or cardiovascular disease? Every hand in the room went up. But when I said, can any of you show me where the gene SNP is for any of those diseases? Every hand went down. So that means that we're treating patients for a genetically inherited disease that is actually not genetically inherited. So what is it? Why does cardiovascular disease run in families? Why does depression run in families? Why does anxiety run in families? Why do people have a temper like their father or worry like their mother? It's because they inherit the methylation pathway that leads to those diseases, right? So people that have anxiety and depression generally lack adequate levels of serotonin. Their mother or father generally lacked adequate levels of serotonin, which is why they quote unquote inherited depression from mom and dad. But if we think that it's inherited, most of the time we just give up and they say, okay, well, dad had high cholesterol, mom had hypertension, so I'm gonna have hypertension, high cholesterol. My mom and dad were depressed, so I'm gonna be depressed. My dad was bipolar, so I'm gonna have ODD, OCD, ADHD. That's not true. Because if you give the body the raw materials that it needs to make the right neurotransmitters, by definition, those disorders go away. So nothing gives me greater sense of pride in what we do than taking somebody who suffered from anxiety, depression, or emotional quote-unquote disorder like ADD or ADHD and wiping it right out of their life. It's like letting them out of a prison cell after a lifetime. So
I told when I was young, I was told I had ADHD, ADD, but you said, you actually told me that.
Yeah.
You said, Julian, when you were younger, someone probably told you that, and you said it's because of your methylation pathways and everything. I'm like,
yeah. Yeah,
I
told you before you told me.
Dude, I was
why do people scream on the phone?
He read my blood and knew my past. He read my blood. I was like, dude, how do you know this? How do you know so much information about him? This makes no sense.
Yeah.
Okay, kind of transitioning. Something that people want to know as well. Who's been some of the people you've worked with? Wait, actually, before you go over that, one of the people you mentioned is fighting.
Yeah, Roy Jones Jr.
Fighting Mike Tyson tonight, but who else?
Yeah.
The people you can talk about.
Yeah, so Roy Jones has been a patient for a long time. He's very public about our relationship. Grant Cardone is another that a lot of people know is very public about our relationship. And
you guys did a
me
little
working with
collab
him.
as well with 10X.
We did a little collab.
10XL.
We have a product line called 10XL System together. His wife, Elena Cardone, and his children, and French Montana, the rap artist. A lot of people know French Montana. I work with a lot of Tony Robbins' inner circle. So, the ones that I can say that are public, there are several patients like that. But you don't have to be a celebrity or someone, for lack of better words, to work with me. You don't have to be an Alex Morgan or a Grant Cardone or French Montana. We have streamlines all over this country because we want to help people go from average to great without pharmaceuticals. I don't want to put something in your body that's going to alter the neuroplasticity of your brain so that you cannot be depressed. I want to put good nutrients in your body so your body can perform its task so that you're not only not depressed, but you can reach those higher emotive tiers, right? Like what's the highest emotive tier? Like what emotions are on the top tier? Elation, passion, joy, arousal, libido. Those hell yeah, I won the lottery emotions, right? There are people that are probably going to watch this video that are incapable of creating those emotive states, right? Because they lack the capacity to make the neurotransmitters to get there. So here's the issue. Your physiology determines who you are. And it's like the old Chinese proverb about, there's a Chinese proverb about the stream over the rock. And it says that the stream always wins because it's relentless, right? It will wear a boulder down to a grain of sand. So when someone's physiology is off, it drags them down into the state where it most comfortably exists. And all the self-help, motivational orientation in your life, all the positive thinking and all the humility and all of the gratitude in the world will only temporarily move you out of that state. Till you fix your physiology, it will drag you back down into that state. And then you wonder, why is he more successful than I am? Why is he getting ahead faster than I am? I think the same way. I want the same things because your physiology can actually drag you backwards. And that's why I say success is in your blood. If I look at your blood work, I can tell how passionate you are. If I look at your blood work, I can tell how long you can spend in those high emotive states. And if you take the most highly performing entrepreneurs in the world, they follow all three of the P's, right? They've got passion, they've got purpose, and they have physiology, right? Sick, fat, tired people don't build empires, right? So you show me somebody that's got good physiology, good blood physiology, and has passion and knows what their purpose is, you better get out of that person's way. You better get out of that person. I don't care if they play in the NFL, if they're a self-help motivational speaker, if they trade stocks for a living, if they do real estate. That person is beast mode in that industry and dominant because they have passion, purpose, and physiology.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you're wanting to take everyone to their peak potential. You know, you're saying, again, let me fine tune somebody, whether it's sleep, energy, every aspect of your life, all these things together can create, you know, what I like to call a limitless person or a limitless entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. You know, what's your goal for everyone here? What's your plan, your goal, you know, your end goal for working with people? You know, people want to know that, you know, 5-year, 10-year, that vision.
Yeah.
What's your goal with Streamline?
So my goal with Streamline is, and I know this sounds so cliche, but is to help as many people as possible. So I have a billion-man march going on inside my head that says that there's 1 billion people out there right now suffering from anxiety, suffering from depression, whose physiology is in the way of their success. So I don't preach finance. I don't tell you how to find your passion. I don't tell you how to pick your direction in life. I don't tell you how to build a better life for yourself financially. What I do is I give your body the resources so that when you do find that direction, it's like pulling a slingshot back and letting it go. Because if you have a locomotive driven by jet fuel or a locomotive driven by an old coal engine, the one with jet fuel is going to get further and blast through more obstacles. And so when you do that naturally, you know it, right? When you are thinking clearly, when you're sleeping deeply, when your emotive states are, you have passion, you have purpose, you've got elation, joy, arousal, libido. You know, we should sleep like bears. We should be excited to be intimate. We should have a positive aggression towards working out. We should have a clear sense of thought, right? When our minds are clouded, that's a physiology issue. It's not coming from the outside state. You know, a lot of what we use as cop-outs, for example, if you look at modern psychiatry, modern psychology, it says that things called a cluster of symptoms outside the body are what's stopping you, right? So Abraham Lincoln was diagnosed with depression 130 years ago by a cluster of symptoms. If you go see a psychiatrist today, you're going to get diagnosed with depression by a cluster of symptoms. It's nonsense. What's happening is we define these diseases as a lack of resources. Go get the resources. Put those resources into your body. And when I talk about resources, I'm talking about methylated B vitamins, folic acid, methylated folic acid, L-methionines, amino acids your body needs to just build what it needs to do its job, right? Mm-hmm. And you turn the physiology on inside of somebody, you can forget what's going on in the outside world. Because I will show you people that by a cluster of symptoms should be so depressed they shouldn't be able to get out of bed, yet they are some of the most successful people on the planet. And you look at the background, and their background dictates that this person would not be successful. You know, they're not from the right race, they're not from the right socioeconomic class, they don't look the right way, they're tatted up, they don't have the right education, maybe they don't have the right connection, but boom, they're at the top of their game. Why is that? Well, not just because they have passion and purpose, but because they have physiology behind them. See, when you say believe in yourself, what are you really saying? You're saying belief is an emotive state, right? So if you gave me an emotion like belief or happiness or joy, I can tell you what the neurotransmitter combination is for that. Mm-hmm. So when you say believe in yourself, what you're saying is put together the right amount of norepinephrine, epinephrine, dopamine, serotonin, and ephedrine to pick that direction. Because belief is a combination of those neurotransmitters. You don't have those neurotransmitters, you're not capable of believing in yourself. Wow. Right? So physiology.
That's deep.
It's deep. Mm-hmm. I mean, every emotional state that you have. Depression is an absence of serotonin, right? You take serotonin out of the equation, you don't have happiness, you don't have passion, you don't have elation, you don't have joy, you don't have arousal, you don't have the capacity to feel libido, right? Sex drive, you lack that. You put serotonin and dopamine back in by fixing the gut. Now all of a sudden those emotions creep back into that person's world. And if that person knows where they're going and is passionate about that direction, and you put physiology behind it, ooh, look out.
We're out of here.
Yeah, look at Grant Cardone. I mean, look at Look at him 3 years before I started treating him. He looked 15 years older than he does today. He's a 62-year-old man.
I mean, I think anyone you've worked with.
Yeah.
One of my good friends, Alex Morton, completely different. More energy, more Zoom calls, more travel, 30 days on the road overseas.
Just consistent.
Right, but you don't need to be at that level. You could be someone that is just trying to work out more, is just trying to study longer and more consistent and with intention.
I mean, I'll tell you, Alex Morton's a person that has passion, purpose, and physiology.
Definitely.
If you look behind the scenes at how he prioritizes his health, right? He puts a lot of his energy into his own physiology. Because if he didn't, then he would lack the capacity to put so much out. He puts so much out because he has the capacity from within to do that, right? So his physiology is a high priority in his life. I can tell you that firsthand. Someone that's seen his blood, his physiology is a very high priority. He doesn't put poisons into his body. He cares about what goes in, and he also cares about what comes out. But that takes a lot. There's a lot of debits coming from that physiology, right? To constantly put out all of that emotion and constantly bear the burden of saying, I'm going to wake up today and I'm going to push harder today than I did yesterday. That comes from within.
Right. Exactly.
It's not something that comes from without. It's not somebody coaching him saying, hey, get up and do this. He's doing that on his own, and it has a lot to do with physical state.
You know, I know a lot of people too, a lot of entrepreneurs, especially these days, they scream health and wealth, health and wealth, health and wealth. And you know, I believe it really is about even health first before the wealth comes. Like making sure, like you're saying, every aspect of your life, you know, you're operating the right way health-wise. And if you're operating and if you focus on that passion, it's gonna come. You know, you don't want to be super successful in your health being complete crap.
I
make sure it's on point now.
You know, there's a I know you know about it. You know, the frequency of the universe, the vibrations of the universe, and you know the universal law, or the universal secret about what you put out, you get back. So if you believe in that, then you believe in the science of vibration, right? Because we're just a series of vibrations, right? So if you vibrate at a frequency that attracts people that vibrate at the same frequency, there's a physical law. This is a law of physics, and it's called constructive interference, right? It says if you take two stones, same distance over water, and you drop them at the same time, they create the same size wave. When those waves meet, the size of the wave doubles. So your energy and someone else's energy can actually feed into each other. Your energy can double when you meet someone. You say that I'm vibing with this person.
Right.
You're vibing with that person because you're on the same frequency. When two identical frequencies meet, the size of the wave doubles. The energy from those frequencies doubles. It's called constructive interference. This, by the way, is a law of physics. I'm a scientist, so I love science. It's a law.
It's a law.
It's like gravity. If I drop this book, it's going to hit the water.
It's a law.
It's a law. Right? So, but the same law says that if two frequencies are opposite, that when they meet, they cancel out. They'll flatten each other. Right? That's why you meet somebody and you go, I didn't jive with that person. I didn't vibe with that person. I felt, I was repelled by that person. That's your sixth sense. Essentially what's happening is their frequency and your frequency are opposite. Peaks and troughs meet, they flatten out. So if I take those same two stones and I change their distance over the water and drop them, when those ripples meet, they will cancel each other out, rather than meeting and doubling, right? And so your capacity to have certain frequencies comes from your physiology. And if you put the right methylated vitamins in, cure your nutrient deficiencies, balance your glycemic profile, even out your hormone profile, you will vibrate at a frequency that you may have never experienced before.
Wow. So question. I know, this is deep. This is a
lot.
Sorry,
we went right off the scientific cliff.
Right. Scientific cliff. We out, man. It was Bill Nye back in the day. Now there's Superman Brecka over here playing no games. But listen, what can people like? Obviously, you have a plan for Grant. You had a plan for Alex. You looked at the blood. You made sure all the tests. It was a process, right? But what can people today, watching this video, what can people do to start getting in the right habits? You told me one thing, which was breathing, and breathing exercise, which completely changed my life as well. And I was like, breathing techniques, I don't need to do that. What can people do watching us today to start changing their physiology?
Physiology, yeah. So I would say, and without getting your blood work done, because I would tell you that your blood is the ultimate
important,
right? I mean, we always say in our life, who are you listening to? Where are you getting your information from? And the best place to get your information from is from your own body. So my primary recommendation would be to get your blood work done and see what your body has to say for itself, because the blood work doesn't lie. The one thing that's definitely not in your blood work is somebody else's opinion. But if that's not in the cards for you, then there is two things that you can do. One of them is breathwork. There's actually a free app called Breathworks, WRKS. It's one of my favorites, and it teaches you how to breathe. It's free.
Breathworks?
Breathworks, WRKS. It's if you go to the App Store, it's Breath.
So everyone can go download that.
Yeah, go download that. I have no interest with them. It's a free app. But there's a very, very, very famous breathworks specialist, if you will, named Wim Hof. He actually proved that through breathing you can change the oxygen tension in your tissues. And as human beings, everything that you perceive about energy is really just oxygen in your blood. So if you said, Gary, I had a lot of energy today, physiologically what you're saying is I had a lot of oxygen in my blood today. So if oxygen equals energy, which it does, then theoretically if we increase the amount of oxygen in our blood and our tissues, we'll increase the amount of energy we have, which also elevates our emotional state, right? So think about this. Anger, which is a very low emotive state, takes virtually no oxygen. That's why you can be dead asleep and I can pinch you and you can instantly wake up angry. But if you're dead asleep and I want you to laugh, I gotta wake you up, I gotta get you conscious, you gotta breathe a little bit, and I have to tell you a joke, and then you can actually start to laugh and enjoy that emotion. Why? Because that emotion's way up here. It takes a higher oxidative state. You cannot wake up laughing. You've never woken up laughing. You've woken up scared. You've woken up angry. You've woken up frightened from a dream. You've never woken up laughing in your life because you don't have the oxygen to reach that emotive state. Breathing will raise your emotive state, the actual state of the category of emotions you have access to. And breathing is quiet. You can do it on a plane. You can do it in a bathroom. You can do it in your living room. You can do it anytime. In fact, I find myself between fasting and breathing, if I start to fall asleep, I'll just start to quietly deep breathe. I just raise my oxidative state.
Deep breathing for me too, I go to sleep faster. If I'm able to deep breathe in and out, I pass out.
Yeah, there's a cycle on that breathwork called natural Xanax. It tells you how to breathe in a certain amount, hold, how to breathe certain out, and they call it natural Xanax for a reason because puts you right out.
Absolutely.
The second one is fasting. Believe it or not, and not just intermittent fasting, but fasting in general is a way to preserve your energy. The most taxing job that your body performs is digestion. And it's also the highest priority job of your body. So just remember that when you're digesting, your body can't do anything else. So if you're detoxifying, repairing, eliminating waste, regenerating tissue, anything like that, and you eat, it will completely stop that process. It'll focus on digestion, and it will go back to doing what it was doing.
It takes energy.
Takes energy, right? It also takes a lot of blood. The amount of blood in your system is fixed. So if it's overdoing digestion, it's not in thought. It's not in repair. It's not in regeneration. That's why eating in a restricted window, 8 to 12 hour window, is one of the fastest ways to improve your physiology instantly. I always tell people that, especially for you guys that are traveling, like, I know your travel schedule, and like Jason Brown and some of those guys, Matt,
crazy,
Alex. If you guys are getting up for those Ask Crack of Dawn flights, and
changing time zones.
Changing time zones. You went to bed at midnight. You're up at 4:30 in the morning because you got a 5:50 flight. Don't eat until you get to your destination, because you need to guard your energy. That blood is a valuable resource. It's already low on oxygen. You need it for the noggin, not for the gut. You can go without eating a lot longer than you think. So intermittent fasting is another one that I would sincerely recommend.
Listen, if people want to get in contact with you, people want to start their blood work, if people want to start fine-tuning, if people want to start, becoming superhumans, and really what I'd say is like unleashing their superpower. Like everyone has potential to succeed. Everyone has potential to, go beast mode in the gym, go beast mode in life. What do they got to do to contact you, man, to reach out?
You can reach out to me at Gary Brecka on Instagram, or you can go to streamlinemedicalgroup.com. streamlinemedicalgroup.com, and there's all the information on what we do, and you can contact our office. You can get blood work done. One of our physicians will go through the blood work with you that I've hand trained. We rarely prescribe any pharmaceuticals. If it's needed, we do it. If not, then we just build your physiology back in the natural way. So I'd love to work with you guys.
I'll tell you, hundreds of thousands of people will watch this video. I hope y'all take this information, because if there's anyone that you need to know in your life, it's this gentleman right now. All right, it's Superman right here.
It's just science.
That's it. It's just science. All right. So Gary, thank you so much. Appreciate you. I'm all hooked up right now. Gonna enjoy what
NAD.
Hour of NAD and become limitless. All right. So take care, everyone. Stay blessed. Talk to y'all soon.